Howard at Mom's Music down here on Melwood Avenue, and I wanted to talk today about an iconic brand that we love to sell here at Mom's Music and, of course, Maxwell's House of Music, and that is the legendary, iconic Fender line of guitars. So I'm going to tell you a little quick story because I like to do that. When I started with Mom's, it was a huge honor for me to get to start coming in and selling these great instruments. And it turns out that our very first rep that I got to work with was a guy named Bill Carson. And you guys should definitely go and look up Bill Carson because, you know, the thing that blew my mind, I was aware of Bill Carson because I'd read the history and I'm a geek for all this stuff. And so Bill was the guy out there in California at the time with Leo Fender that was his test guitar player. And he played it out there in a bunch of the country swing bands and things like that out there on the coast. And Bill was one of the very first guys that Leo went to him and said, hey, here is a Telecaster guitar. This is a new invention. I need you to go out and be the guy who plays this in a real world setting and tell me what's wrong, tell me what's right, what can we fix, what can we make better, how does this thing work, is it reliable, all of those questions that you don't know until you use it in a real working situation. And so Bill was that guy. And when I met him, he was an older gentleman at that point, and his wife Susan and he were our reps for Fender. And so I got to spend a lot of time with him, and I learned a lot of things, and I heard these amazing stories about all that stuff. But in reality with the situation there, with the Telecaster, Bill was the first guy who said, hey, listen, if we first of all, this thing kind of cuts into my body, and I want something that's more comfortable. So maybe if we shaved this here, and we kind of did this here, you know, to make it more comfortable. So he was the guy who's responsible for, you can see how these guitars are contoured and things. And so with that telly, they actually have a telly that you can probably find online somewhere where they show you where they did some of these initial cuts. Over the course of a little bit of time, it evolved into what became the Stratocaster. So Bill was the guy who really worked with Leo Fender at the time to really come up with the design that eventually became the Stratocaster. And of course, this is a legendary guitar that everybody knows what a Stratocaster is. You've seen them forever. Everybody's copied these instruments forever. All these other manufacturers, all the imports and things when I was a kid growing up, everybody made their version of these iconic guitars. Stratocaster, Telecaster, P-bass, jazz bass. Again, Fender was the company that took, prior to the electric bass, they developed this stuff. You had an upright bass, and you had to, pluck like crazy to get that thing to push through a large format big band or an orchestra or something like that. And Fender was the one who said, hey, I'm going to figure this thing out. And he was the guy who developed the first electric bass guitar, which changed everything for everybody. Again, the thing that's unique to me, and you got to think about this and take this into perspective, we're one generation removed, at least I am one generation removed from these people that created this stuff. In the full scheme of the life and time, we're a very small blip of time. We're talking, so this is the 75th anniversary of the Fender Stratocaster. This company's not even 100 years old, and it's changed the world and the planet and the music business altogether. The thing that I love about Fender guitars is obviously the quality's through the roof, but their line of instruments is obtainable to anybody. They still make American-made, quality, fantastic guitars and basses that are reasonable for everyday players. But if you're starting out and you buy something out of their Squier line, the quality these days is so great. You can buy a Squier guitar for, some of them are under $200. So under $200 up to about $500 or $600, and then you got Fender stuff starting at $600 and up. It's obtainable to anybody. The other thing I love about these guitars is that over time, if you buy the right American guitars, they're not only a great quality instrument, they actually are a great value, and they appreciate as they get older and older. So the stuff that I was buying in the 70s and 80s is now worth 5-10 times what I was buying it for back then. So if you buy the right piece here, it's not only a great guitar, it's a great investment. And there's not a lot of things in our world these days that are that way. They're highly regarded and highly revered by players all over the world. So some of my favorite players that have played Fender over the years. As a kid, I was a huge Chicago fan. Terry Kath played the iconic Fender Telecaster, which this year they're finally doing, much overdue, a Terry Kath custom shop guitar. which I was very excited to see happening at some point. I grew up listening to, of course, Jimi Hendrix, and then, Eric Clapton and the Rolling Stones, and all of those artists, those legendary artists. For me personally, when Stevie Ray Vaughan happened in the late 70s, early 80s, I became a huge fan of his. And of course, they do a Stevie Ray Vaughan signature series guitar, and as well as hundreds of other artist guitars over the years. All the funk players, they're doing a Nile Rodgers guitar this year, which is a wonderful addition to the whole line of guitars that we're going to be getting in. To really sit with Bill Carson and learn and hear how this stuff was developed and some of the stuff they went through and all the struggles they went through to become where they are today it was quite an honor to get to spend as much time with him. So again, if you've never played or had the experience of playing a Fender guitar, you need to come down to the shop. We have a huge selection at both of our locations. So we hope you come down and play one of these Fender iconic instruments here at Mom's Music. They're ageless, they're timeless, and they're incredibly well-crafted guitars. You can always call me at 897-3304. You can shop us online at momsmusic.com or maxwellshouseofmusic.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube page, and we hope you're enjoying these little shorts. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.